agencies are looking into this matter, and as I said, I've been cooperating and also very impressed with the thorough manner in which they are looking at it. So they obviously must do what they have to do and do it thoroughly and properly. So, yeah, I'm satisfied with the process that they are following. It's due process. As I've been saying, due process must be followed. And so therefore we must respect them for the work they do and give them space and the time to do the work, because they are good at what they do. They are the experts, and we leave it to them. And they will conclude this matter in the time that they do.
Have they given you any time frame with your legal team?
No, they haven't given me any time frame. So, because I can't rush them, can I? They must do their work. Thank you, Athi.
Thank you, Mr. President. That is President Cyril Ramaphosa leaving Parliament after a question and answer session in the National Assembly. As he's pointed out, he's not willing to rush law enforcement agencies as they continue to investigate the money theft at his farm. He's pointed out to about 7 or 8 investigations that are taking place from various law enforcement agencies, and he has now just confirmed that he has so much trust in them that he's allowing that process to take place. Dudu?
Let's also pick up, Athi, in terms of what we saw with the question and answer session throughout the course of the afternoon. We'll get back to the Phala Phala matter in a few moments, maybe talking about Eskom. The president, in spite of the many calls and sounds for the resignation, not only of the board, but the CEO of Eskom, saying that he's very capable in their leadership, particularly the executives, because he believes that they are unearthing corruption as they go along. They've been doing an exceptional job, even though he has characterized the issue of load shedding as a calamity of enormous proportions.
I think what was interesting coming out from the president today, in as far as Eskom is concerned, is that he also shares the same sentiment of frustration that millions of South Africans face when the lights go off. In fact, he conceded to say he did not anticipate load shedding to be the way that it is now, considering the fact that they have been speaking about what they want to do as an entity and government to try and alleviate the pressure from Eskom in terms of generation and transmission of energy. And so he himself has conceded that he often gets frustrated by load shedding. And so what he said also is that they will be making an announcement soon as to how they'll be moving forward. He also mentioned the remarks that he gave a couple of months ago, because the leader of the official opposition party, John Steenhuisen, asked him about that address that he made insofar as Eskom is concerned, saying that there's been a slow pace of implementation, particularly with regards to this task team that has been mandated to look at the troubles that are currently facing Eskom, of course, including a lot of debt that Eskom has incurred over the years. He also spoke about how they want to open up this energy transmission and generation process, not only with local government, but they want to open it up with independent power producers. And also, Dudu, he also mentioned how, for example, municipalities like Cape Town and perhaps Johannesburg would not be able to actually oversee Eskom in terms of supplying energy, and he was worried. He's saying it's a major risk, a major risk for South Africa to simply rely on one company for the generation of electricity, which is Eskom.
Another question that was put to him was in regards to his recent trip to the United States, and whether he used that opportunity with Joe Biden to talk about illicit financial outflows, particularly from South Africa and maybe the rest of the continent. How then, in follow-up questions, did members of Parliament use that to sort of address the issue of the foreign exchange found or stolen at his game farm?
Well, Dudu, as I speak to you, I'm seeing a number of MPs walking out, and I just actually want to walk out and perhaps get reaction from some of them. I'm spotting the chief whip of the Democratic Alliance. You would recall that many of the follow-up questions, the supplementary questions came from the Democratic Alliance. And so I'd actually like to ask them whether they are satisfied this time around with the answers that the President gave. I'm going to speak to the chief whip. Siviwe, you are live on Newzroom right now. So considering how the question and answer session unfolded last time, are you satisfied now with the responses that he gave around Phala Phala?
Look, I mean, the President did a very good job of trying to diffuse the situation, and I think he evaded a number of some of the key things that we really wanted to hear from him. I think the crucial thing, Athi, that was really missing, and I think a lot of political parties here zoned in on that, the one is how is it that the President was able to subvert all the other processes that you and I are subjected to when we are victims of crime, and why is it that he was able to simply just direct a query or a complaint of a theft on his home directly to the general, and where is the case number? What that points to, and really it emphasizes the point we've been trying to make, that there are state institutions here that have been part of this alleged cover-up, and we are really interested in hearing some of his testimonies, hopefully in the Section 89 panel inquiry. But really, for me, what it really did is that it showed a gap in some of his responses, and he wasn't able to account for that.
Of course, a lot of more questions that you feel like he didn't answer, and that's of course the reaction that we're also receiving to online. Thank you so much, Siviwe Kwagube, the chief whip of the Democratic Alliance. A lot of South Africans also giving the same response that the chief whip of the official opposition party has given, saying that there are gaps. In fact, I had an opportunity to speak to Vuyolwethu Zungula. He's the ATM MP who asked about the Phala Phala Farm gate, and so he says that he's not really satisfied about the responses that the President gave, because, for example, they are asking why he reported it to a general and not a police station, and where's the case number, when exactly did he report it. All those gaps that Siviwe Kwagube is alluding to are the same concerns that Vuyo Zungula, who asked that question, raised with me when I spoke to him, saying that at least there was progress today insofar as him opening up slightly about what had transpired when money was stolen at his farm. He's repeatedly said that he has admitted that money was stolen, but what also was interesting from the President today is him coming out to blatantly deny any form of money laundering, and also, you know, the issue around how he reported it to a general and not the South African police is something in particular that many opposition parties had a problem with. Even Julius Malema raising that, saying that he feels like he's above the law for not reporting it to the South African police, as opposed to what many South Africans are subjected to when they are victims of crime, by going directly to a police station. But then on the other hand, you have the President saying that law enforcement agencies are dealing with this matter, and as he stepped out, he said to us that he's giving them their time and he's trusting that they will be able to deal with this matter thoroughly. Of course, there's that Section 89 motion, that panel that's going to look into whether the President breached the ethics code and whether there should be impeachment hearings against the President. Well, he says he's going to be complying with this particular process in Parliament, as well as with law enforcement agencies. Dudu?
And just lastly, Athi, there's also the tiny matter of the disclosure of the foreign currency to SARS. While SARS is still mum on this, the President says that he's leaving this to the South African Reserve Bank to make their own, he says, conclusions and determinations.
Yes, that's true, Kathy. Sorry, Dudu. There are those kind of ideas that the President obviously evaded disclosing the amount of money that were in his Phala Phala farm. But of course, the response that he gave is one that is obviously not satisfactory to the MPs, because they still left wanting insofar as him being able to disclose it to the South African Reserve Bank. You might recall that the economic freedom fighters received a response from the South African Reserve Bank about how the President missed the deadline of actually declaring the foreign currency at his his property. But of course, we're waiting for at least that Section 89 panel to be able to dig deeper. So perhaps some of those questions can be answered, hopefully.
Athi Mtongana, always a pleasure. Thank you.